A former BC actor who shot and killed his own mother has been sentenced to life in prison. And as CTV's Angela Jung shows us, after he murdered his mom, he also planned on killing the Prime Minister and wasn't going to stop there.
Ryan Grantham, from child actor to tragedy. Imagine a life that begins in bright lights and ends in darkness. A young Canadian boy with a talent for performing. A kid who, by age 9, was already landing acting roles on television and film. This was the beginning of Ryan Grantham's story, a journey that would take him from Hollywood sets to a courtroom, and ultimately to a prison cell. Ryan Grantham was born in Canada and developed a passion for acting at a very young age. By the time he was a preteen, he had already begun appearing in movies and TV shows. At age 9, he took on roles in productions that many young actors dream about. He appeared in the hit family film Diary of a Wimpy Kid in 2010, where he played a supporting character and gained recognition among audiences who grew up with the franchise. He wasn't a lead star, but his early work helped him break into the industry. As he matured, Grantham landed roles in television dramas like Riverdale, the CW series inspired by the Archie comics, where he appeared in 2019 as Jeffrey Augustine, a character tangled in the show's darker storylines. He also made appearances in other genre TV shows, such as Supernatural. So far, it looked like a promising career, a Canadian actor steadily building a resume, familiar on screens large and small. But beneath this outward success, things were beginning to unravel. As Ryan moved into adulthood, the pressures around him began to mount. Reports presented in court and media coverage later revealed that he was struggling with his own thoughts, feelings of anxiety, depression, and self-loathing that intensified over time.
Court heard how he had been skipping classes, and to spare his mother from his perceived failings, he contemplated killing her for months. The dark thoughts were fueled by his mental health difficulties and excessive cannabis use.
Psychiatric evaluations later found he was suffering from a mood disorder and had a history of substance use that contributed to his deteriorating state. Friends and family later described a young man who, behind the scenes, wasn't thriving. Career momentum had slowed. Social life was struggling. Internally, his world was collapsing. March 31st, 2020. A life-altering day. On March 31st, 2020, everything changed forever. Ryan was 21 years old and at his family home in Squamish, British Columbia. His mother, Barbara Waite, was 64 and, as court records and news reports later outlined, doing something as ordinary and peaceful as playing piano in their living room. In a sequence of events that shook Canada and shocked the world, Ryan approached his mother from behind with a .22 caliber rifle and shot her in the back of the head. The moment was sudden, silent, and devastating, and it would mark the end of 2 lives, one lost and one forever shattered by guilt and consequence. Confession and aftermath, 4:30 to 6. The following day, a chilling detail emerged. Ryan recorded a 4-minute GoPro video, shown later in court, in which he stood over his mother's body and confessed to the shooting. He spoke of what he had done, and the recording became part of the overwhelming evidence against him. But the story didn't end there. In the hours after the murder, authorities learned that Grantham didn't just stop at one tragedy. He loaded his car with guns, ammunition, and a dozen Molotov cocktails and drove toward Rideau Cottage, the official residence of Canada's Prime Minister, with the intent of assassinating Justin Trudeau and committing further violence. He didn't carry out this plan. Somewhere along the route in the town of Hope, British Columbia, he turned around, his intentions unclear, his mind in turmoil, and instead made his way to the Vancouver police station. There, in a moment of stark reality, he walked up to an officer and said simply, "I killed my mother." In court, the prosecution laid out the details, the rehearsals, the recording, the plotted attacks, and the wavering between violence and surrender. Grantham ultimately pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, a charge that, under Canadian law, carries an automatic life sentence. The only question was how long before he could even apply for parole. In September 2022, the judge ruled that Ryan would be eligible for parole after 14 years, a decision that reflected both the severity of his crime and the mitigating factors presented by his defense, who highlighted his mental health struggles. At the sentencing hearing, Ryan addressed the court in a raw and emotional statement. He spoke of remorse, of regret, and of a life wasted, words that, for some, rang hollow, but for others revealed a glimpse into the turmoil he faced. His sister delivered a victim impact statement that laid bare the pain of losing a mother and sister, describing their mother as a loving, compassionate woman who did nothing to deserve the violence she experienced. The contrast couldn't have been starker. A mother's life ended in heartbreak,